Welcome to Let's Be Real Sports Podcast, presented by Let's Be Real Media. Watch us live on YouTube and Twitter, and follow us on TikTok and Instagram at LBR_media. Also, subscribe to us on any podcasting platform.
What's going on? BLJ here, the best hype man in the NBA. Man, I'm here with Let's Be Real. Tune in. Hello.
Let's be real. All right, Let's Be Real Sports Podcast. I'm back. It's your boy Parish Sharkey, riding solo. Well, somewhat solo today. The guys, this is a show with me and another guest. If you paid attention to or followed me during my Let's Tighten Up podcasting days, which remember I stopped there sometime about June of last year. This show will be similar to that, basically talking Titans talk. Got a guest coming on. If you see the title already, you know who he is, but I introduce him when we get to that point. But yeah, it's just me riding solo today. But remember, coming up, we are still doing our NFL divisional series. So the guys will all be back Sunday as we continue with the NFC North. Then we finish off with the NFC West next Wednesday with other guests. Of course, I think NFC North, we got everybody, all teams, a guest for each team. NFC West, we got 3 of the teams. Still looking for a Cardinals person. So anybody know any Arizona Cardinals personnel, people to come on in an NFC West show, let us know that. Also, for the other podcasts on network, 3 the Harder Way, they come back Monday. They will be going live on Labor Day morning with Savage, Tuke, and Sheedy, of course. They are doing their top 10 small forward series for the NBA. So check them out. And the Genius Report for Let's Be Real Media, he will be back sometime soon. I know he's been on the hiatus for a second, but he'll definitely be back. So that's what's the rundown's going on, and we'll be back with my guests after this word from our sponsor. Sports betting has rapidly risen in popularity, and I want to connect you all with an opportunity to get started or get ahead. Having multiple sportsbook accounts is the simplest way to maximize your profits, and there has never been a better time to sign up. When you visit our page, signupexpert.com/LBR, you'll be connected to all the sports books in your region, along with the review of each platform and its unique benefits. All these sports books have valuable sign-up offers for new users, and when you register through our link, you will automatically receive the top offer at each one. When you use multiple sports books, you ensure that you can always access the best available odds, which is key to successful sports betting. If you want to take advantage of these benefits and support our brand, please consider signing up for your next sportsbook at signupexpert.com/LBR. All right, back. Let's Be Real Sports Podcast with my guest, All Titans Nation. Y'all should know him. He is the ESPN NFL reporter for the Tennessee Titans and host of the show Talking with TD. With his name, of course, Turron Davenport. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? How's everything?
It's all good, man. How about you?
Everything's great, man. Just going into the weekend, man. I got a nice break, so that's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, because I know after this weekend, next week it's all full blast from there point forward.
That's it.
Yeah. But it's like as I like to always do with our guests, and like I do on my Let's Tighten Up days. Of course, we like to get a feel for how y'all got into your career, how you got started, and what you do. So my very first question would be, how and why did you get started in sports journalism?
Well, I got started in sports journalism because for me, it was a way to be involved with the NFL. I love football, love the NFL. So I wanted to find a way once I realized that playing in the league wasn't going to be an option. And that's something that, you know, you kind of reshuffle and you find your way. And that's what happened. I have a marketing degree, not journalism. So it's been a learning on the fly type of thing, but it's worked out. And we're just going to work to continue to do more, you know, and just stay involved. So.
That's good. That's good. So with your background starting in you had a marketing degree, got into journalism. Eventually you transitioned to podcasting, even getting on ESPN radio. So how was the transition coming from writing to being on air? Were you already used to it, or was it something totally different and new?
Well, honestly, that's something I did. So basically, when I first decided to get into journalism, I said, I'm going to know how to do all three. So I taught myself how to podcast. I used to use this app or this website called Spreaker. And you had to have a mixing desk and all this other stuff. I taught myself how to do that, taught myself how to build a website. And I was doing articles on 49ers, and I had a couple of my college teammates do articles on the Steelers, one on the Cowboys and one on the Falcons. And it was called Press Coverage Sports. And it just was a collection of various teams where we wrote about them. That's pretty much how I started digital stuff. But with my marketing background, I was doing football camps for a lot of football players like Deshaun Jackson, Marion Barber, Jason Avant, who else? Jesse Holly. There was a whole bunch of guys we did football camps for. And that just kind of got me used to talking to the players. And it gave me a feel that, you know what, I belong. Like I could talk shop with them. I could talk shop with anybody then. And that's more or less how it worked. And I just, like I said, found a way. And then with TV side of things, working with Emory Hunt for Football Game Plan, he encouraged me to go buy a camera. So I bought a camera, and I was there in Baltimore doing interviews. My first interview, actually, funny story, was with Darren Waller, who at the time was drafted as a wide receiver out of Georgia Tech. And he's now obviously a tight end, but he was one of my first interviews I did. And this is Darius Smith as well. That year was a pretty fun year, and that's when I first started doing video. So all three of those became an area of strength. And when I interviewed with ESPN, they asked me why they should hire me. And one of the things I told them was, you buy one, you get two free. So I'm going to you're going to hire me for digital. I'm going to give you radio, and I'm going to give you TV. And as far as moving into ESPN radio, that was just a gradual thing where it just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Hey, I want to do radio. And they gave me a shot. I remember the first one I did was it was a Friday night with Freddie and Fitzsimmons a couple years ago. I was with Freddie Coleman, and he made it easy. And it's just been, doing more and more since. I got back-to-back days this weekend. Thursday and Friday, I'll be doing Freddie and Fitzsimmons with Michael Rothstein, who's the ESPN NFL Nation Falcons reporter. So
nice. It's always interesting hearing your story, hearing different journalist stories. Even coming from myself, I started podcasting. We started this 5 years ago, and from that point forward, I got the opportunity to cover the Memphis Tigers. Penny Hardaway's first year coaching the basketball team. Then I had to start writing to last year. Then now I'm covering the Memphis Hustle. So it's kind of like always interesting to hear those sides. And just like you, I learned the art of everything, learn how to edit, learn how to do videos. Got better at writing since I started last year writing for the Grizzlies. So yeah, it's been a good journey.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So my next question is, this might be a second for you to think on, but what is your most memorable moment as a journalist or podcaster?
I probably would say, so it was that Super Bowl 2017, the one the Eagles won. It was between going through Radio Row and consistently saying, I'll be shocked if the Eagles lose. And the way that people looked at me like, the hell are you talking about? But then as I broke it down, it made sense to them, but they still were like, nah. But then going from that point to feeling the energy when Dreams and Nightmares came on and they came out, and I'll never forget, like Malcolm Jenkins ran out first, and it was just that energy. And then being in the locker room after they won, that was something, probably the most memorable moment, because I remember walking through there and they're playing Cap G, Rings. And I'm like, damn, that's a perfect song. You know what I mean? And then you see Lane Johnson talk about he got some Cubans. He's going to spark them up. And then you go over to Corey Unlin, and he's the DB coach, and Malcolm Jenkins is there, and Jalen Mills, and Patrick Robinson, and Rasul Douglas. Malcolm reaches in his locker, brings a big bottle of Johnny Walker Black, takes a sip, turns it to Corey Unlin, and he takes a big gulp, and he's just like, ah! And then that Dreams and Nightmares came on again. And in that locker room, just the way that place went crazy, it was a moment I'll never, ever, ever forget. An energy that I couldn't imagine how they felt winning, because I didn't have a horse in the race. But being there, just even though I was objective and neutral, it was a charge like no other, man. Crazy. So that's probably that moment was probably the one.
Nice. I figure I pretty much figure it's easier to cover the teams when they're doing well, whether you a fan of the team or, like you said, neutral yourself. Like, it's always better to cover a team when they're winning, rather if they're losing. You just kind of like,
yeah, because everybody's willing to talk a little more when they're winning. But the way it works, though, as far as getting page views and stuff, it's either you want the team that you cover to either be really bad or really good. But again, preferably really good, because everybody's in a good mood when it's really good. So, yeah, you're right.
Yep, exactly. And one of my co-hosts / podcast host of the network, Savage, he's an Eagles fan. He still celebrates their win. He wasn't even that mad they lost last year, because he still, lost their first Super Bowl. So.
That was a year right there.
Yeah, that's what's up. My next question kind of comes around a story. I guess I tell my story. I am a former football player as well, but I didn't play college. I played high school, but I played flag football in college, won a couple of championships and stuff. But it took me a while to get over the fact, like, okay, my playing career is over. It took me a second to get over that. And after I graduated college, I graduated with an engineering degree. I'm a project manager now. I went to a Tires training camp. And I remember just going there. I'm actually finally past it. Hey, I'm not playing football no more. I'm fine with life. I'm moving forward. And this lady walked up to me, and I was still relatively in good shape. And this lady walked up to me. It was like, you should be out there. And I just remember thinking at that time, like, golly, like, why you have to do that? I was already trying to pass it. So my question for you is, as being a former player, former athlete yourself, either now or even in the past when you first started in your career covering the 49ers, covering the Ravens and the Eagles and now the Titans, do you ever have those thoughts or have those feelings or had that feeling like, man, I wish I made it or I could be there?
Yeah, it's like every practice I have it. I mean, I'm 47 years old. I still have dreams sometimes about suiting up and stuff. But yeah, it's like every practice, you're out there watching. Like, so I play receiver, so I'm out there watching Coach Moore work with the guys. And I'm like, dang, that would be dope to be out there doing that drill. Or you'll see the football and you just pick it up and you have it in your hands and you just, you throw it up and you catch it and you drop it like this and catch it. It absolutely you feel it. And especially during training camp, you feel it because you're able to be there for the whole practice.
Yep. I figured that. Yeah. I feel like that's every athlete, every former athlete, they all go through that phase, even once to make professional. When you got to retire, you're just like, wow, my career is over.
The withdrawal.
Yep. And my final question before we transition to Titans talk is, what is advice you would have for anyone trying to get into the field of journalism and reporting?
A few things. The biggest thing is be versatile, be able to do whatever it is you're asked to do. That's why I showed myself how to do podcasting, figured out the video side of things, and then figured out the digital side. That's important. And then it's, even though people tell you that you're not going to be able to do it, don't worry about it. Focus on the fact that, you're not out to prove them wrong or prove yourself right. You know that you can do it, so don't lose track of that and go do what you have to do. Find a way to fit in, whether it's, taking a job that you probably wouldn't want to do initially for money that you may not want, or even sometimes you gotta go free too sometimes, and you have to just like humble yourself and understand that your value is there, but it takes steps to get to that value to where you're paid accordingly.
Yep, sound advice. So anybody watching, listen to the show, y'all interested in getting into journalism, reporting, podcasting, like, go back and rewind this segment. Just listen to it. Like that's very sound advice. All right. To transition over to more Titans talk, I actually got a question because I do have a co-host that is Eagles fan. So I did want to incorporate some Eagles in it. And I do want to just my question is, what is the biggest difference in between reporting for the Eagles and the Titans that you've encountered or endured?
I think the biggest difference in being reporters covering those two teams is the amount of eyes that's on your work. There's just more attention given to the Eagles, and that's something that is that's just the way it is. Like, they're one of the benchmark franchises, so that would probably be the biggest difference. I think it's much more personable. Also, tell you a story. Howie Roseman. So I wrote a book about the Eagles called "A Team Makes a Miracle," and it highlighted different stories: Nelson Aguilar, Zach Ertz, Jalen Mills, Carson Wentz, Doug Peterson. I wanted to do a whole chapter of that book on Howie Roseman because I really felt his story was one that needed to be told. A lot of people didn't realize when Chip Kelly came in, he pushed him into a corner office all the way down the hall, and his value was just dropped to nothing. But then Chip Kelly's gone. Howie Roseman takes over, and 2 years later, they're in the Super Bowl, and he's celebrating. That's a story that I wanted to tell. Reached out to Eagles PR. They went to Howie Roseman, said he wanted to do a chapter in the book. He said no.
All right.
It is what it is. Now I get to Tennessee, and I remember. So I got here. My first day was it was Sunday, July 30th, 2018. That Saturday they had an open practice at Nissan Stadium, and I'm standing there at the tunnel waiting for the guys to come out. And this guy walked up to me. I knew who he was. I was surprised he knew who I was. Hey, I appreciate your work, what you've done so far. I'm John Robinson, Titans GM. You ever need anything, talk to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a week covering the Titans, I talked to the GM more than 2 years covering the Eagles, including an invitation to have a conversation because I wanted to do a chapter of my book on it. That's the difference to me. And with Rand Carthon coming in, it's been really good so far as well. So I think it's much more of a family atmosphere, even with more of the assistant coaches. Like, don't get me wrong, I have relationships with coaches there in Philly, still do. You know, Coach Flip, Coach Grow, you know, Coach Deuce, of course. You know, but it's different just overall organization-wise. It's much more of a family atmosphere here, in that they include you in the family, you know.
Yeah, I can only imagine because I'm from Memphis, live in Memphis, and the Memphis Grizzlies. I haven't got a chance to like truly cover them in depth like that, but I can only imagine because similar as the Titans being a smaller market, they don't get as many eyes until, of course, you know, Ja Morant does what he do with the everything this past year. But it's like, it's kind of the same feeling. I think the same team, they kind of embody the same mentality. So I can imagine that it's probably the same here because I remember Ja Morant's rookie and second year, just, you know, we didn't get as much shine as Zion Williamson was getting all the glory. Now it's a flip. So yeah, just things. It's interesting how those things happen. But speaking of Rand Carthon, next question, and really pivoting into Titans talk. What would you rate? And of course, the season hasn't even started yet, but strictly from the time he got here to now, how would you rate his offseason? I guess A to F. What rating would you give him?
I give it an A. I give it an A because they came in with very limited cap situation. There was a lot that had to be fixed. I mean, you look at that offensive line, that had to be flipped totally. You know, you look at the cap space. Rand Carthon has brought in, so you figure Murphy-Bunting, Azeez al-Shaair, Daniel Brunskill. These are 3 starters. Collectively, he's paying them under $6 million this year. The Titans are. And we're not talking about bums. Like Azeez al-Shaair I think is going to be a very good inside linebacker. Sean Murphy-Bunting is a solid player at left corner. And Daniel Brunskill has pretty much held down the right guard spot. He's solid as well. I think you look at what he's done, and then not to mention going out and getting Andre Dillard. Yeah, it's not a guy who's proven and all the way established, but you got the first-round pick moniker on him, whatever the situation was in Philly as far as getting beaten out by Jordan Mailata, who got a $60 million contract. So it's not like he's a bum, you know what I mean? So you got that, and then Arden Key, bringing him in. DeAndre Hopkins, I think he's done an excellent job of just making sure everything's in order, but then also being able to put them in a situation to where obviously you want to be good, but if they're not good, they're able to have a reset, right? Will Levis, Malik Willis in the mix, Tajay Spears, Julius Chestnut. So they have to move on from Tannehill and Derrick Henry. They have the pieces to do it. Now, I'm not saying they're going to produce the same, but they have the pieces to do it. So I think just positioning them for a good couple years, I think is solid. And then coming in and working with Mike Vrabel and maintaining that relationship and having that true collaboration, yeah, it's an A for me for sure.
Yeah, and I agree. And even picking back off your point, with the whole Jeffrey Simmons thing, that was very personal. I mean, extended him. You had the Kevin Byers stuff happen, but it got sorted out, right? It eventually got sorted out. Kevin Byers back, and even to the point about your pivoting to the next wave, Elijah Molden moving over to safety. If they, that might be the replacement, potentially, like you just said about Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, if they move on from that phase. So he's definitely aligned it, and especially all the rookies they got, all rookies they drafted made the roster, and I think 5 undrafted rookies,
5 undrafted free agents. Yeah. Yep. Caleb Murphy was an outstanding securing him. I know a lot of teams wanted him, but he went to the Titans and look, he's got a spot.
Yeah. So Rand Carton. Yeah, I mean, he's done an excellent job so far. So really can't take anything from him. And next question. For this Titans team, what is your realistic expectation for them this season?
I think 10, 11 wins is realistic. I think winning the division is something that is very attainable for them. It's just going to come down to the offensive line. I think that's really the main thing. But, yeah, they should be able to win 10 games. That over and under is, 9.5? I would definitely bet that if I was able to.
Yeah, the same. I tend to agree. Now, in our AFC South division episode, I am an unbiased fan. I end up picking Jacksonville to win the division only because of kicking situation, which is now got sorted out. At that time, I was like, who is our kicker? So I really did. I was like, I don't know. And injuries. We led the NFL injuries the last 2 years. I don't see us leading NFL injuries. I'm not going to believe we're not going to lead them injuries. So it's kind of like, let me see it to believe it.
Yeah. And I think you have to take into account the first place schedule for Jacksonville, the fact that they're now going to be the hunted. They're not the hunters. I think there's a difference there too. I think Jacksonville is going to be right there, but I do think the Titans can win the division.
Yeah, most certainly. So, and this is probably the biggest question in Titans Nation over the last couple of years, especially since we got the 1 seed and lost their playoff game. What is missing? So the Titans are always that team. They're always a tough out. They're always a team that's like, okay, it's going to be tough to beat them. They can win the division, make the playoffs, make an AFC championship run. What, in your opinion, is missing from the Titans really being a true Super Bowl contender?
That ability to consistently score a whole bunch of points. I think that's the biggest thing that has been missing for them over the last period of time. And if they find a way to be more consistent, 2020, I think they did a really good job. They were 26 or 27 points per game. That's what they need to be. But that year they ran into that Ravens team. They struggled to score points in that game. So you definitely have to be able to score a lot of points. That's the one thing that's missing. The defense, I think, is there. It's just the explosiveness on offense. They need to get that.
Yep. And speaking of that year, the defense took a huge step back that season. That was like a weird year. Where it was like, we don't have a good defense.
Third downs, and explosives. It was historically bad.
Right. But then you get to the playoff game, your defense hold the Ravens to 20 points. So it's like, in the end, like you said, scoring points, the offense let them down. At the end of the day, although they led the unit all season. And for my final question, what is the bold prediction you have for the Titans to see? It could be a player, it could be the team. Just what is the bold prediction you have for them this season?
I would say they get over 50 sacks. That's the bold prediction. I think they're going to have now. Harold Landry in 2021 was the first double-digit sacker since Brian Arakpo in 2015. I think they're going to. I think Jeffrey Simmons is going to go over. I think Arden Key goes over too. I think those two guys get double-digit sacks, and then don't forget that Nico Autry is consistently there between 8 and 9 sacks. So I think when you look at that, you'll get guys like Travis Gibson, Rashad Weaver, have 4 or 5 sacks. Yeah. I think you look at Tier Tart have a couple. You'll have your DBs, probably Elijah Molden have 2 or 3 because they're going to send him out of the nickel spot. So that's my prediction of 50 sacks. The games and twists and things that they're going to be able to play. And then just the technique that they work on with Coach Lori Locust, severely underrated acquisition. She works with the outside linebackers. She's the assistant to Ryan Crow, but you watch them. And then Terrell Williams. I think that group is going to, between those two, 50 sacks is for the year.
Really, mine's just it goes along those lines, but really, I tweeted yesterday, especially after they signed Travis Gibson, like, it's time for the Titans defense to take the next step to elite. Like, we always good, pretty good, great against the run, the pass defense be lacking. I'm like, they have the pieces in place to really take the next step to being a top 5-ish, top 10 defense. And
absolutely. Yep, because you got the secondary play too. I mentioned Murphy-Bunting, Christian Fulton. Roger McCreary has had a nice camp quietly. No one's really talking about it, but playing that nickel spot, he's really settled into it. So that's another one as well.
Yeah, and you really can't beat, like you said, all those edge rushes they got. I think about the Eagles last year. I don't want to get carried away, but like it's getting exciting to really just like see how
that Eagles pass rush. Oof.
Yeah, and every But man, that does it for the show. That's all the questions I have for you, man.
Okay.
Appreciate you coming on again. Can you let the people know where to follow you at?
Yeah, for sure. Check it out on Twitter at @Davenport_NFL. You can search Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Talking with TD. That's the podcast. And that plays a 1 or 2 Friday game on Saturday mornings as well. And then ESPN.com, just click NFL, then Titans page, and you get all the stuff there. Actually, had a story about Will Levis go up. It was an exclusive as far as the eye surgery that he got in June, how it's helped him see the field better. Then on Monday, a in-depth feature with things a lot of people never knew about. Rand Carthon is coming out too. So definitely check those out.
Nice. Our Titans fans to be checking this show out. Definitely tune in if y'all haven't already tuned in to TD. Like I said, you was a big inspiration for me when I started my Titans podcast. I had to run it from the end of 2020 to June last year. Only fatigue. Okay. I had 3 podcasts, so at some point somebody had to get cut. But it was you and my guy, and Chris from Titans and Truth.
Yeah.
I kind of took out your podcast and his show, Titans and Truth.
Keep going, man.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate it. And
sure.
As always, y'all know you can follow us on Twitter or X, TikTok, IG, and Facebook at LBR_media. Subscribe and watch on YouTube at Let's Be Real Media, and subscribe and listen on any of the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google Play, you name it, at Let's Be Real Sports. Also support the other podcasts on network. Like I said, 3 the Harder Way will be returning Monday with their top 10 small forwards in the NBA coming to the season, and the Genius Report as he'll be returning soon. Also, support us by signing up for our sponsor, BetStamp, at signupexpert.com/LBR. Until next time, or this coming Sunday, peace.